Dear students, hope you are all well. So, students, in the last class, we learnt about the different water bodies in the hydrosphere. Then we learnt about the reasons for the salinity of ocean, erosion, dead animals or dead remains in the water, volcanic eruptions, evaporation, these are the few reasons for the salinity of the ocean. Then we learnt about salt pans, how salt is collected in the salt pans, and what is the process of it. And lastly, we learnt about fish, varieties of fish found in the sea. What type of fish is consumed and how fish is an important occupation for the people who live in the coastal areas. We also learned that fish is not only used for consumption but also for medicinal purposes. Now let us move on to the next part of the lesson. In this part, we will learn about the other objectives of the ocean. So, the learning objectives are planetary winds, mangroves, oceans and resources, oceanic transport, and issues related to oceans. The first objective is planetary winds. Now, let us try to understand what planetary winds are. Okay, you have studied that the equatorial region receives near perpendicular rays, right? It receives perpendicular rays. As a result, these areas get more heat, whereas the polar regions receive high slant rays. Okay, the equatorial region receives perpendicular rays and the polar regions receive slant rays. This differential heating creates imbalance in the temperature of the air in different parts. Okay, this leads to the formation of belts, right? We learned no high pressure belt and low pressure belt. It leads to high and low pressure belt on the earth. Now see, winds blow due to the pressure difference in these belts. So these winds are called as planetary winds. These winds move from the oceanic water in the form of currents. These currents are called warm currents or cold currents. Now warm currents move to the cold regions. Okay, opposite it is warm current moves towards the cold regions and cold currents move towards warm region. This means ocean currents move from the equatorial region to the polar region and from polar region to the equatorial region. So this leads to the redistribution of heat on the earth. The cold currents moving towards the equatorial region makes the temperature of coastal areas in that zone milder, equal, okay? Whereas the warm currents moving in the colder region cause temperature in coastal areas to rise. It's the opposite. Then in chapter 4, we had learnt about weather and climate, right, of different regions. And we know that there are differences in the temperature of different places on the earth. Similarly, there is difference in the maximum and minimum temperatures. This difference is less in the coastal region while it is more in the region far away from the sea. So coastal region you will have climate equable. But whereas the regions which are far away from the sea you will have there a bit hot climate. Okay. This means that in the region close to the oceans, seas, or larger reservoirs, there is no much of difference in the temperature throughout the day. They have like moderate climate. The main reason for this is the mixing of vapor released due to evaporation of water from the water bodies. This vapor in the air absorbs and stores the heat released from the land. Hence, the temperature in coastal areas remain equable. Now, the ocean has a vast expanse. Therefore, huge amount of vapors get created. This process goes on continuously. It does not stop. From this vapor, the earth gets rainfall. Oceans are the source of rains. Always remember, oceans are the source for the rainfall. The rainwater flows through rivers and streams, and finally, where it goes, it flows back into the oceans. This makes it clear that the beginning and the end of the water cycle takes place where? It takes place in the ocean. The beginning and the end of the water cycle takes place in the ocean. Okay? Let us move forward. Now let us move on to the second objective, that is mangroves. Now in the swampy areas of sea coast, where that is flooded areas, and in the areas of estuaries, the soils are saline and the climate humid. Now in such areas, mangrove forests with in such areas with mangrove forest with Tiwari and Sundari grow well. Now, Tiwari and Sundari are types of trees, okay? Grow well. The wood of mangrove trees. Now, mangrove trees are trees which mangrove forests are forests which are close to the sea, okay? The wood of mangrove trees is light and oily. It lasts longer. It is used as fuel and also for shipbuilding. It is also used for building ships. The mangrove forest protect coastal areas from huge waves. So these forests protect the coastal areas from the huge big waves. These forests also protect the biodiversity in the coastal areas. Now, if these forests are located near coastal towns, they are called the lungs of these towns. Why? Because they protect the coastal areas from huge waves, so they are called as the lungs of these towns. Do you also know that as the regions close to the sea have an equable climate, the density of population is also high in these areas. Where the climate is moderate, there is lot of population also. The coastal regions have always attracted man. Mostly people like to stay over here. You all also like to go to the beaches, right? So it has attracted man. Why? Due to its climate, abundance of food, and various products obtained from the sea. Also, in future, it will be possible to generate electricity with the help of oceanic waves and tides. It is possible to convert the saline ocean water into potable drinking water. So, what they are saying, like it is possible to convert the sea water into potable drinking water. Okay. Why? This will also reduce the scarcity of drinking water. If there is water shortage, okay, it will lead to the scarcity of drinking water. The drinking water in the city of Dubai, okay, in United Arab Emirates is being made available through this method. They are using this method. What they are doing? They are converting the saline ocean water into potable drinking water. The next topic is oceans and resources. Now we have seen earlier that we obtained salt, fish, shells and other products from the oceans. Now besides these, we also get minerals like iron, lead, cobalt, sodium, manganese, chromium, zinc, etc. from the oceans. It's not only we get salt, fishes, shells from the ocean, we also get different minerals. We also get mineral oil and natural gas. Then after that also we get precious items like pearls, corals or ornamental items like shells and also medicinal plants from the seas. So we get so many things from the oceans. Now the next topic is oceanic transport. Now oceans have provided us the most economic option of transportation, cheapest mode of transportation. Okay, large scale transport of good is carried out with the help of ships, trawlers, boats, etc. Okay, international trade, that means foreign trade, is also carried out on a large scale using waterways. Countries like Spain, Norway and Japan have a good coastline. Now, due to goods transport by ocean, these countries have gained importance. Ocean currents are quite important in water transport. As far as possible, water transport is carried out along ocean currents. They accelerate the speed of ships and also save fuel. Water transport is conducted on a much higher scale as compared to other modes of transport. So, water transport is considered as a higher scale. Why? Because by water transports, heavy goods, bulky goods are sent to another countries for transport of bulky materials like coal, crude oil, raw materials, metallic minerals, food grains, etc. Water transport is given preference. And as you all must be knowing, water transport ships are considered as one of the ancient transport of sending goods to other countries. Now, the last topic in this chapter is the issues related to oceans. About 70.8% of the surface of the earth is occupied by water. You all know, right? In order to fulfill his requirements, man undertakes many activities. This leads to the production of huge amounts of different types of waste. These waste material cause pollution in the sea, right? We throw out waste in the sea. This what it happens, it creates pollution. Pollution of oceanic water is a major and serious issue that has developed in recent times. Now let us look at some of the issues connected to this. Okay? First one is releasing the waste products in the coastal cities, that is into the seas. Now what we do, dumping sewage in the ocean has always been considered the cheapest and the easiest way of disposing of waste. What most of the people do, they they dump all the sewage waste into the sea. Billions of tons of litter end up in the ocean each year. Billions of tons of litter waste ends up in the ocean every year, reportedly bringing 250 million tons of trash into the sea every year. 250 million means it's a lot, right? However, reports also suggest that littering makes the aquatic life in the ocean and seas worse in these days. What happened? We are throwing waste in the sea. It affects whom? It affects the aquatic life. It affects the fishes. Then the next issue is oil spills. Spilling of oil from tankers and offshores, rigs, right? Spilling of oil from the ships in the oceanic area is also another example of sea pollution. Okay, when the oil spills into the sea, it affects the aquatic life, it affects the fishes. Okay, and the next problem is materials thrown out from ships, that is waste and garbage generated on board ships which contribute to marine pollution comprise of plastic and packaging material, food waste, etc. Proper handling of these waste products is critical to prevent marine pollution. Now there's those big ships going. What people do, they eat and throw it in the waste, throw it in the sea, which have what happens? The sea gets polluted. Okay. The next is exploitative fishing. Now, overfishing can impact entire ecosystem. That means overfishing. You should not catch lots of fish at a time. Okay, that is overfishing can impact entire ecosystem. It can change the size of fish remains as well how they reproduce. You should not catch very small fishes. When too many fish are taken out of the ocean, it creates an imbalance that can erode the food web and lead to a loss of other important marine life. That means at a time you should not catch so many fishes, okay? You and not catch very small fishes. It can affect the food web and marine life. Next is cutting of mangrove forest in coastal areas. The causes of mangroves are depleting. They are becoming less, are depleting as sea level rise and coastal erosion. Now, as I told you, mangroves help to what? To protect the coastal areas from huge waves. So we should not cut mangrove forest. Due to global warming, the sea levels are continuously rising. The rising sea levels have flooded large area of mangrove forest. This has resulted in their depletion. That is, mangrove forests are becoming less. Next is disaster caused by the water mines. Some of the most important environmental disasters are associated with the mining industries. These disasters are both natural and mining related, causing acidic drainage, for example, formed by rainwater or snow melt. This also affects the marine life, the oceans. Okay, let's move forward. That is your homework. The first question is, oceans are provided as the most dash option of transportation. Next is, about dash percent of the surface of the earth is occupied by water. Next is, what are planetary winds? And the last one is, which natural resources does man get from the ocean? That's all for now. Your chapter ends over here. We will learn the next chapter in the next video. Thank you for listening, children. Goodbye. Take care.